Hey Reddit, I'm 30F, and my life shattered into a million pieces, a catastrophe I never anticipated. I believed I had it all: a loving engagement to Alex, 32M, a man I thought was my soulmate, wedding plans in full swing, a down payment on our dream home. My sister, Sarah, 28F, always carried a shadow of envy, a relentless need to outshine me, but I never imagined her capable of such a devastating betrayal. About a month prior, a disquieting unease settled over me. Alex grew distant, perpetually distracted. He'd canceled dates at the last minute, citing fabricated work emergencies, yet I'd see him online, active on social media. His thumbs danced across his phone screen, his expression distant and preoccupied. My attempts to communicate, to ask if he was all right, were met with dismissive reassurances. Everything's fine, you're just imagining things. Then, the truth exploded. I decided to surprise him with lunch, returning home early. The key turned in the lock and I pushed the door open, humming a cheerful tune, eager to see him. The apartment was unusually silent. Then a low moan drifted from the living room. My heart faltered, a cold dread creeping up my spine. I walked in, and the scene before me was a brutal assault on my senses. Sarah and Alex were intertwined on our couch, his shirt half unbuttoned, her hand tangled in his hair, their bodies moving in a sickening, intimate rhythm. The air was thick with the cloying scent of their cheap perfume and something else. Something intimate and betraying. A strangled gasp escaped my lips. The world tilted, the colors distorting. Sarah's eyes flickered open, a mix of shock and defiance contorting her features. Alex simply stared, his face flushed, sweat beading on his forehead. "What is this?" I managed to choke out, my voice trembling, tears blurring my vision. Sarah's lip curled into a sneer. "He was always better in bed, you know? You were just convenient. The safe, boring choice." Alex shrugged, a pathetic, "It just happened," as if those words absolved him of any guilt. My stomach clenched, bile rising in my throat. A sharp, stabbing pain pierced my chest, the physical manifestation of betrayal. My hands trembled, my fingers clenching into fists. "Get out," I whispered, my voice barely audible, but laced with a fury I didn't know I possessed. I expelled them from my apartment, my voice raw with the sting of betrayal. Naturally, I called my parents, sobbing, expecting solace, validation. Instead, I received this. My mother, in her usual condescending tone, said, "Sarah's always been more vibrant, more exciting. You're just present, always so quiet and reserved. Alex simply recognized that. You need to cease relying on others, always needing someone to care for you, and learn to be self-sufficient. You're useless." My father echoed her sentiment, stating I needed to mature and that I was overreacting. My parents sided with her. They deemed me useless because my fiancé cheated with my sister. The words echoed in my mind, a cruel, mocking taunt. I packed a bag, grabbed a few essentials, and fled. I haven't spoken to any of them since. I attempted to reason with them before leaving. "How can you say this? She betrayed me. He betrayed me." My mother simply dismissed me. "You always exaggerate everything." Here's the crux of the matter: Reddit. I work in tech, a senior software engineer, and I earn approximately $50K a month. They remain oblivious to my income. I've always been discreet about my finances, never wanting to boast or make them feel inadequate. Um, my family perceives me as merely comfortable with a nice little job. I never flaunted my wealth, and I've consistently been generous, covering family dinners, offering small gifts, always attempting to maintain peace. Currently, I reside in a luxurious downtown apartment and a place I once only dreamed of, and I've commenced therapy to process this emotional wreckage, to disentangle the web of hurt and betrayal. I've blocked them on all social media platforms, changed my phone number, and effectively vanished from their lives. I recall the day I signed the lease, the sheer exhilaration, the sensation of liberation. It contrasted sharply with the minor gifts I'd given my family, and I realized how much I'd restrained myself. Atia for severing ties with them? I feel I should grant them an opportunity to explain, to hear their perspective, but honestly, I'm consumed by hurt and anger. The mere thought of their voices repulses me. Update 1. Okay, Reddit. Things are escalating, bordering on the bizarre. My parents have resorted to creating alternate email accounts, attempting to circumvent my block. They've even contacted my coworkers, calling my office an act of extreme unprofessionalism and embarrassment. Their desperation is palpable. I haven't responded to any of their attempts. I forward everything to my lawyer for documentation. Then, Sarah appeared at my former apartment, the one I shared with Alex. She was hysterical, her voice thick with tears, lamenting how Alex had abandoned her, branding him a jerk, and confessing she made a mistake. She demanded to talk, to explain everything. I instructed her to leave and never contact me again. Her response was a volatile mix of anger and self-pity. She accused me of being unreasonable, insisted that family should remain united, that I was being dramatic, and that I needed to forgive her. I simply closed the door in her face, the click of the lock a satisfying sound. I also received a call from my former landlord, a kind elderly gentleman, informing me that my parents had inquired about my new address, even offering him money. I was enraged. I explicitly instructed him not to disclose any information about me. I've also retained a lawyer, a highly competent one. We're discussing a cease and desist letter to clearly communicate my desire for no contact and potentially a restraining order should their harassment persist. He advised me to meticulously document every email, call, and attempted contact, which I am doing diligently. The support from you all has been overwhelming. Thank you for validating my feelings, for confirming that I'm not irrational. I'm beginning to feel less guilt, less like I'm in the wrong, and more empowered to reclaim control of my life. The lawyer dispatched cease and desist letters to my parents and Sarah. They were instructed to cease all contact and that further attempts would result in legal action. It was a clear, unequivocal message. I also had my lawyer send a letter to my former landlord, reiterating that he was not to divulge any information about me under any circumstances, not even a hint of my new location. A deafening silence ensued. For a few days, I heard nothing. I thought perhaps they finally understood. Perhaps they finally grasped the seriousness of my resolve. Then, I received a voicemail from my mother. Her voice trembled, laced with tears, claiming she was worried about me, that I was making a grave mistake, that I was being selfish. She claimed Sarah was enduring a difficult time, that Alex had hurt her, and that I needed to be there for her, that family is paramount. I deleted the voicemail without responding, the sound of her voice a painful reminder of their betrayal. A few days later, my father sent an email, a lengthy, rambling email, insisting we needed to discuss things rationally, that we needed to resolve this like adults, that I was being immature, and that I needed to forgive. I forwarded the email to my lawyer without reading it, the words blurring into a meaningless stream of text. They don't understand. They believe they can simply apologize, offer a few platitudes, and everything will return to normal. They fail to comprehend that they've shattered our relationship, that they've irreparably broken my trust. They don't grasp the depth of the betrayal, the magnitude of the pain they've inflicted. They seem to believe that a simple apology, but they are profoundly mistaken. Update 2. Okay, Reddit. This is where the narrative takes a dramatic turn, reminiscent of a soap opera. I was at a work event, attempting to network and feigning normalcy, when I received a call from an unknown number. I almost declined, but something compelled me to answer. It was Sarah. She was sobbing uncontrollably, her voice thick with tears. She claimed she was desperate and needed to speak with me, that it was urgent. I reiterated that I had nothing to say to her, that I wanted no contact. Then, between sobs, she blurted out, "Mom and Dad are in trouble. They need your help." I hung up, my heart pounding, a mix of anger and curiosity swirling within me. I instructed my lawyer to investigate the situation. He discovered that my parents had taken out a substantial loan, a second mortgage on their house, to assist Sarah in launching a business. Apparently, Alex had persuaded her to invest in a get-rich-quick scheme, a Ponzi scheme, and they had all bought in, believing it was a golden ticket to wealth. Now, the scheme had collapsed, the entire venture was fraudulent, and they were facing bankruptcy, on the verge of losing everything. They needed money. A substantial amount. My lawyer informed me that they were likely attempting to manipulate me, to exploit my guilt, and perceived family obligation to obtain my funds. He cautioned that they were desperate and would say anything, promise anything. I instructed him to communicate, through whatever channels they were using to contact me, that I had no intention of assisting them, that I wouldn't give them a single dime. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have, something I'm still unsure was the right course of action. I sent them an email, a brief, pointed, and perhaps vindictive email. It was concise and direct. You deemed me useless. You sided with the person who betrayed me. Now you require my assistance. How the tables have turned. I earn $50K a month. Enjoy your bankruptcy. I pressed send and deactivated my phone, bracing myself for the ensuing storm, the digital hurricane that was about to erupt. The response was immediate and overwhelming. My phone vibrated incessantly with calls and messages, a relentless barrage of notifications. I ignored them all. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, allowing him to handle it, acting as a buffer between me and the onslaught. A few days later, I received an email from my mother. It was lengthy and rambling, filled with insincere tears and hollow apologies. She profusely apologized, claiming she was blinded by Sarah's lies, that she never intended to hurt me, that she was merely trying to do what was best for the family. She pleaded for my forgiveness, for understanding their predicament, and for financial assistance. She attempted to guilt me, labeling me cruel and insisting that family should always forgive, a transparent attempt at manipulation. I didn't respond. I didn't even read the entire email, the words blurring into a meaningless stream of empty promises. Then I received a call from my father. His voice boomed through the phone, a thunderous roar. He accused me of being vindictive and heartless, that I was punishing them, that I was ruining their lives, and that I needed to mature and act like an adult. I told him, my voice cold and firm, that they had ruined my life first, that they had shattered my trust and my heart, and that I owed them nothing, not even a sliver of sympathy. I terminated the call and blocked their numbers, like severing all lines of communication. My lawyer informed me that they were attempting to exploit my emotions, to wear me down, and that I needed to remain strong. He reiterated that they were desperate and would say anything, promise anything, to obtain my money. I'm steadfast in my decision. I'm not giving them a dime. They created this situation. Now they must face the consequences. My parents and Sarah appeared at my apartment, unannounced and unwelcome, their presence an intrusion on my sanctuary. They pounded on the door, shouting for me to open up, their voices echoing through the hallway, a cacophony of desperation. I was terrified, my heart pounding in my chest. I called the police, my hands trembling, my voice shaking. When the police arrived, my parents attempted to play the victims, as always, claiming I was holding them hostage in my own apartment, that I was mentally unstable and needed help, a pathetic attempt to manipulate the situation. The police, thankfully, saw through their charade. They instructed them to leave in no uncertain terms, and that any further attempts to contact me in any way would result in arrest. I filed a restraining order against them, a formal legal document prohibiting them from approaching me or contacting me in any way, a shield against their harassment. The following day, I received a message from Sarah, a desperate plea, begging me to drop the restraining order and discuss things, claiming she was sorry, that she didn't intend to hurt me, that she was just young and stupid, a hollow attempt to excuse her behavior. I didn't respond. I didn't even read the entire message. The words meaningless. My lawyer reiterated that they were attempting to wear me down, to break my resolve, and that I needed to remain strong, that they were hoping I would succumb to the pressure and give them the money they so desperately desired. I'm staying strong. I'm not giving them anything, not a single cent. Update 3. Okay, Reddit, the situation has escalated beyond anything I could have imagined, a twisted spectacle playing out for the world to witness. Sarah, in a desperate attempt to gain my attention and likely my money, went to the local news. She gave an interview, a tearful, manipulative interview, portraying me as a heartless, wealthy sister who was abandoning her struggling family, a narrative designed to garner public sympathy. She claimed I was hoarding wealth while they faced ruin, that I was selfish and cruel, a calculated attack on my character. She even brought up the engagement, framing herself as the victim of my vindictive behavior, claiming Alex had led her on and that I was punishing her for it, a pathetic attempt to shift the blame. The news segment went viral. Suddenly, my face was plastered all over social media, my name and story spreading like wildfire, a digital lynching. People labeled me a monster, a selfish brat, and worse, the comments filled with hate and judgment, a chorus of condemnation. My inbox overflowed with hate mail, angry messages from strangers who knew nothing of the situation, each word a venomous sting. My workplace even received calls from angry viewers, demanding my termination, labeling me a disgrace to the company, a threat to my livelihood. I was mortified, humiliated, and terrified, the world closing in around me. I called my lawyer, my voice shaking with panic, and he advised me to remain silent, to avoid engaging with any of it, and to allow him to handle it. He cautioned that any public response from me would only fuel the fire, giving them more ammunition, turning me into a target. He also suggested I temporarily deactivate my social media accounts and avoid public places to protect myself from the onslaught of hatred, to create a safe haven. The stress was immense, the pressure crushing me, a weight I could barely bear. I barely slept, my anxiety soared, and I felt completely exposed and vulnerable, as if I had no place to hide, no escape from the public scrutiny. My lawyer, a skilled strategist, went into full damage control mode. He sent a cease and desist letter to the news station, demanding they retract the story and issue a public apology for their inaccurate and biased reporting, a legal weapon against their slander. He also prepared a carefully worded statement for me, which he released to select media outlets chosen for their reputation and objectivity, a calculated move to reclaim my narrative. The statement emphasized that I had been subjected to emotional abuse and betrayal by my family, and that their current financial situation was a direct result of their own actions, their own poor choices, a clear and concise explanation of the truth. It subtly hinted at my financial independence without revealing the exact amount, but making it clear that I was not the helpless person they were portraying me as, a subtle assertion of my strength. The response was mixed, as expected. Some people continued to criticize me, blinded by the initial narrative, their minds poisoned by the lies, but others began to question my family's version of events, seeing the inconsistencies and the blatant manipulation, their skepticism growing. Several online commentators, amateur detectives, began digging into Sarah's business venture, uncovering evidence of fraud and mismanagement, exposing the Ponzi scheme for what it was, a house of cards built on lies. The tide was starting to turn, slowly but surely. The truth was beginning to emerge, like a phoenix rising from the ashes of lies. Despite my lawyer's best efforts, the negative publicity had impacted my work, casting a shadow over my professional life. My boss called me into a meeting, his face grave, expressing concerns about the impact on the company's reputation, the calls and messages they had received, the whispers in the office. He was supportive in his own way, but he also made it clear that I needed to resolve the situation quickly, that the company couldn't afford any more negative attention, that my personal life was becoming a liability. I explained the situation in detail, emphasizing that I was taking legal action against my family and that I was confident the truth would come out, that I was working to clear my name, that I was not the villain they were portraying me to be. He was understanding to a point, but he also suggested I take some time off, a leave of absence, to deal with the stress and to allow things to cool down, a temporary escape from the storm. I took his advice and went on a 2-week leave. I needed to clear my head, to escape the chaos and to focus on myself, on my healing, to rebuild my shattered peace. During my leave, the online investigations into Sarah's business intensified, the digital detectives working tirelessly. The evidence mounted, an undeniable mountain of proof. It was revealed that Alex, the man I once believed I knew, was indeed involved in a Ponzi scheme, a fraudulent investment scam, and Sarah, my own sister, had been an unwitting participant, blinded by greed and the allure of easy money, a tragic victim of manipulation. My parents, in their desperation to rescue her, to salvage her situation, had invested their life savings and taken out a substantial loan, risking everything they had, a reckless gamble that had disastrous consequences. The truth spread rapidly, a digital revelation. Sarah was now portrayed as a gullible victim, manipulated by Alex, and my parents were criticized for their poor judgment, their blind faith, and their reckless financial decisions. Suddenly, I was no longer the villain. The narrative had shifted, and the public began to perceive the situation for what it truly was, a complex web of betrayal and manipulation. The news station, facing mounting evidence and public backlash, issued a retraction and apologized for their inaccurate and biased reporting, a humiliating admission of their error. My family's reputation was in ruins, their lies exposed, their actions laid bare for all to see, their facade shattered. My lawyer, sensing an opportunity for closure, arranged a meeting with my parents and Sarah. He clarified that I had no desire for reconciliation, no intention of forgiving them, but that I was willing to listen to what they had to say to achieve a final decisive end to this chapter of my life, a definitive closing of the book. They were a broken, defeated group, their spirits crushed. My parents were filled with remorse, their voices heavy with regret, their eyes filled with tears. They apologized profusely, admitting they had been blinded by their favoritism towards Sarah, their desire to see her succeed, and their own arrogance. They acknowledged their mistakes, their unfair treatment of me, and the destruction of our relationship. Sarah's apology, however, felt hollow, more concerned with her own reputation than the pain she had caused, as like a self-serving attempt at damage control. I told them, my voice cold and unwavering, that I had nothing to say. I had given them ample opportunity to support me, to stand by me, and they had chosen to betray me, to side with those who had inflicted the deepest wounds, a betrayal I could not forgive. I declared that I was moving forward with my life, building a new future, and that I wanted no further contact with them. I walked out of the meeting, feeling a sense of closure, a sense of finality, a weight lifted from my shoulders. If you thought that was crazy, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. And if you didn't quite enjoy it, feel free to hit the dislike. Your feedback means a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or share your own experiences. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more insane tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.